Oh, I forgot.
Okay, rulers, settle down.
Get to the July intro. Oh well.
Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as
there's
these
just more
amazing
members.
patrons.
We have special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to Jeremy recognizing that my per scene audio isn't working. And now it should be just fine so that you can hear my good friend Mike Rance. Mike Rance, hello.
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 It's very nice to be here.
I'm glad that you're here. So, before we get started, I do just want to say a few things. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you enjoy what we do and like what we do here and want to see more of it or want to help us improve, consider clicking that subscribe button, leaving a like, leaving a comment, or, clicking that little join button down below to help us unlock the Troll Brad emote. As you can see, we are at 101 out of 125 channel members. For those of you who don't know, channel membership is essentially Twitch Prime or Twitch subscription, but you just can't use Amazon Prime for it. It essentially works the same way, and it's also a minimum of $2 as opposed to $5, which I think is Twitch for Twitch. That being said, you can get access to all kinds of things like the emotes and everything like that if you decide to support us, as well as during GPs. We have exclusive access to the chat for members during GPs. You get Discord. Being on our Discord, you get access to certain rooms or things like that. So there's a lot of reward for being a member, and we appreciate it. Otherwise, glad you're here regardless. That being said, I do want to do a couple other things here for cleanup. First off, if you haven't already, check out that the GP is happening later this month in Caseyville, Illinois. It's the weekend of the 23rd. We will be there streaming. If you can get to Caseyville, please do. It is going to be an absolute blast. Games and Geek are going to do a fantastic job, and we can't wait to be there. And as well as if you are looking for pre-orders for the new set, the 7th, you can click the link down below to go to Odyssey Games, who has pre-order for both boxes and pre-release kits available right now. And they usually have it so that you have the product delivered to you on release day, or at least at the very least release weekend. So give them some love. Go check it out. Announcements. That was a lot of them.
There's a lot of announcements.
It was a lot of announcements. We have a lot of things to talk about because we have so many wonderful people who support us and things that we want to push out. But today is kind of a chill week. We don't really have a ton to talk about, so we still like to be able to engage with the community. So we're having a little bit of a open house, I guess.
Yeah, no spoilers, no new set. GP's not until the end of the month.
I do actually. I do have five cards to spoil from the new set, Mike. 5 cards to spoil from the new set. Are you ready? Are you gonna ready?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna spoil them right now. I'm gonna spoil them later.
Okay.
Okay, it's now. Okay, it's later. So I've got 5 cards. There's the first card. Are you ready?
Okay.
It's called Darkness Magic Stone.
Okay.
Second,
What's the effect?
Tap, produce 1 black, and it's a basic magic. And it's a basic magic stone.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Next one is Light Magic Stone. You tap to produce 1 white, basic magic stone.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then we also have Wind Magic Stone, Fire Magic Stone, and Water Magic Stone.
Busted. Completely busted.
Absolutely.
Totally busted.
Absolutely
unbelievable.
Busted.
I can't believe you would do this to me.
I can't. Yep. I got to build that hype, man. So I figured these were the cards to share, and people were going to go nuts for it. So
you got 2 more. You got 2 more. Come on.
I said we got Wind Magic Stone, and we also have Water Magic Stone.
Okay, so that's... Yeah, okay, so...
And Fire Magic Stone.
I was about to say darkness, light, wind, and water. That sounds pretty forceful to me, honestly.
So just a little fun that we wanted to have there. We do actually have 2 cards to talk about tonight, which were the pre-release promo and the buy a box promo. That we'll get to those in a little bit, but wanted to have a little bit of fun with you all. So yeah, pretty good. And Travis, how long until release? So this set is going to be released on the weekend of the 27th of August. So we've got quite a bit of time.
Yep.
It doesn't come into play tapped. It's not in the main deck. Nope, just a basic magic stone.
Absolutely
tap
broken.
To produce 1 will. Yep, it's insane.
I can't believe they would print something like this.
Me either. It's absolutely
ridiculous.
Insane.
Power creep is so rampant in Force of Will.
Oh my gosh,
the stones don't even come into play tapped.
Anyway, so do you want to talk about these new cards real quick?
Let's talk about the new cards real
Yeah,
quick.
let's talk about these new cards. Let me go ahead and pull up the media file for us. These are, again, this is our buy a box and our pre-release promo. The stones are in the computer.
I'm in the computer.
So this is our first one. It's our boy Wolfgang, the Prince of Amadeus. He
Our
is
boy.
the pre-release party promo, which is gorgeous. Very large shoulder pads. One blue, one
World
white.
of Warcraft. Eat your heart out.
Yeah, very much so. One blue, one white, 700, 700 with barrier white and barrier black. Very relevant for our targeted removal colors. And then once per turn, you may play an addition from your graveyard. So keep in mind, this does say once per turn, as in like during either player's turn. We don't have any quick cast additions.
Yo, I'm so playing the Floating Island Wanderer.
I mean, like Floating Island and Wanderer seems great. Kill it, bring it right back, right? It seems good to me. 4/4 resonators, and now this. I'm playing MetaZoo.
Too strong.
Too strong. I like this card a lot. Obviously, it's designed to be a card for the Wolfgang ruler. To be able to,
Despite the colors,
which is very weird. To be able to like reestablish, because one of the things we've seen from Wolfgang is that like of a key addition that he's maybe playing one of gets popped. It can be really unfortunate for him. So because there's really no way to recur additions. So having this is a way to be able to go like, okay, play it, get it back, move on, reestablish that way. I like it a lot. There are some pretty relevant additions that if you could cast it again, I'd be down for. Like,
Mike and Sea Shocker saying defense stance, just so that we can kind of,
I mean, defense stance seems pretty good. I mean, if they pop it, just cast it again, right? That is a
quick cast. Just put the final stance right in from the graveyard. Almirius, eat your heart out.
Except final stance doesn't have quick cast, so
wait, does it?
Does it? Maybe it does.
But
you can't play. But I don't think you can cast it unless you have one of the other stances, though.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. We're playing Stance Wolfgang. Let's do it. So no, I like this. I like this card a lot. It's very cool. Obviously, I'm wondering. This makes me think that we're going to see more demonic worlds, which I'm for. Let's do it. We haven't seen a light demonic world, so there's very real. $5 because YouTube won't let me give you my 2 cents. Hey, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. And then we have a second one who is our buy a box promo. This is Electo, the Unstoppable Fury. 1 blue, 4/4 with Bane. Remove 3 Resonators in your graveyard with the game.
Wait, Jeremy, get the gloves on.
Oh, gosh dang it. Give us... Okay. So,
dance for us,
monkey dance. So, Electo, the Unstoppable Fury. He has Bane. He's a 4/4 for 1 blue. Remove 3 Resonators in your graveyard from the game. Put this card from the graveyard into the field. And null, whenever you draw a card, your opponent banishes a non-Magic Stone, non-J-Ruler entity. If they don't, they discard a card. Thank you for actually making a null card make sense in the context of null. Fair?
Also, can we just talk about the fact that like remove 3 Resonators in your grave from the game effect? First of all, we've seen this effect on things at like, the Disgraced Knight and the Lurker Cthulhu water guy from Valhalla. Both of those. We've seen things that remove things to add them back to your hand, like Arthur, Death Scythe.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing something that just kind of brings it back into play with Bane to make this like a less predictable and less mana cost Shadow Axe. So it's just a miscalculation for a free at its worst, and something relevant at its best. Like, this is not a cost. This is like how you play Force of Will.
Yeah,
this card's insane.
This card is very, very good, especially considering, again, like I said, this is making null actually like play to what null wants to be playing at, right? Null wants its hand in the grave. Null wants a ton of stuff in its graveyard. And so having a card that is a resonator that provides you so much value from this is insane, especially considering the fact that, again, remember, Beatrice, if you have Null, draws you a card at the end of your turn, right? So considering the idea of, like, you get this, you and her God's Art also does this insane amount of stuff too, right? So, like, the only tricky thing about this guy in terms of his wording is, like, what happens if mid-resolution of something you have cards in your hand now? So, like, again, talking about Beatrice, right? So Beatrice's God's Art is draw 2 cards. So what happens if you're at Null, this guy comes into play, and you God's Art? Do you force them to discard 2 things? Do you only force them to discard 1? Because it's like the trigger is weird, right?
Yeah.
Because it's whenever you draw a card, and so, like, technically in mid-resolution he should see you draw 2 cards, and so the double trigger happen. Like, it's weird. Null, I mean, like, in true Null fashion, the rulings of Null are going to be wonky and all over the place, but
love it.
Like, I'm for it, and I really like, if this is what we're going to see out of Null in terms of making it an actual supported archetype and deck strategy, sign me the heck up. I'm in. I like this card a lot, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, card's crazy good.
Yeah, card is great. That being said, we do have some questions, and again, as we're talking tonight, it is an open house, so if you have any questions in the chat or anything else, feel free to jump in there. Again, the chat is available tonight for people
Drop
who
us
aren't
your hot
members,
takes,
or ask us our hot takes. I did say that this is a quote-unquote AMA in true Mike Rance fashion.
I'm not even drinking tonight. I'd recover all day.
So we do have this question of eternal formats. What exists? This was from Dan Warner in the global group. What exists out there, and why they are important for the overall health of a TCG? I'm gonna speak to the first half of that, in the sense that we have 4 primary eternal formats, which are 2 singleton formats and 2 just pure eternal formats. The 2 singleton formats are Genesis, which is a singleton
Thank you, Mega Drybone.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mega Drybone. Says, good job, guys. Thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate it. So, brain, turn on. I got distracted by the super chat. Okay, it's Genesis. Genesis is a singleton format where you are not color restricted based on your ruler. You have 1 ruler. And so it, to me, is a lot of fun. Your stone deck has to be 15 stones. That's a requirement for Genesis, and starting life total is $6,000. It's certainly the more, like, tailored to archetypal deck building version of a singleton format, whereas opposed to Epic Stories, where it's just where you have 2 rulers, color locked, minimum of 10 stones instead of 15. That is the kind of, like, good stuff deck like version of singleton format, because you're playing to your color combination, so you're kind of just trying to find all the best cards in those colors and then wean off the ones that your rulers don't really support. Whereas Genesis is very much like, no, I want to build a CL deck, so I'm building to the ruler from across the entire color pie.
CL mentioned, Emilio froths at the mouth.
I have a CL deck built. It is a blast to play in Genesis. It's probably, like, CL's one of that's the other thing about Genesis that I really like, is the rulers in Force of Will's history that didn't really see a lot of New Frontiers competitive play. Playing them in Genesis when you have the full power, but also the natural restriction to the deck power level that comes from singleton, means that they can have a lot better time competing, which in turn makes them a lot more fun. Like, you get to use them a lot more. And then in terms of eternal formats, we have 2 that are quickly becoming more and more similar. We have Conqueror, which is Mike Rance's pickup creation, which has its own unique ban list. It's managed by the community. It works off just the regular Wanderer rules, except for 1 restriction in returns to the rune deck, where you can't use chant runes. You have to use pure runes, just as a balancing thing for rune rulers. And then you have Wanderer, which is typically run by the EU Wanderer ban list, which just got updated to ban Feasting, Sigurd, Lycion, and I think Athedia, right?
No, but I think pretty sure both ones have Athenia banned.
Yeah, okay. So it just got updated. At least the big ones were Sigurd, Featsing the new ruler and like Yun. And
Yeah.
that is just Force of Will Eternal format with its own ban list.
Yep.
So you have a lot of options, Dan, which I think is nice because you have a lot of ways to be able to play, and you can be really communicative with your play group to be able to get the most out of your cards.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so much flexibility in the Eternal format right now, and all of the Eternal formats for Force of Will feel very flushed out and managed to the point where, like, if your community wants to play it, you absolutely can, which it's really great for getting in older players, and also like giving newer players a lot more to be able to experiment with and enjoy, which is great. Let's see. How to cube or do a limited format with Force of Will, still on Dan Warner. I have questions for you, Mike. Don't worry. I'm just trying to hit these while I have it. So what we do with our cube is we have a select cube. I will put it in the global group after this because I don't have access to it. I'll also put a comment on this video. If you're watching later, you can check a comment that has a link to our public cube list that we use for Ruler School. We play with Giant of Will, the new one that was created that has limit 3. It's a vanilla 10-10. We use that for our rulers, and we have 320 cards set up in packs to be able to draft 4 packs apiece. If you're drafting in Force of Will, it's 4 packs. Based on the format, you could argue for drafting 5, like Alice or like Saga Cluster feels a little bit weird to draft because you're really only getting 8 cards per pack. So like maybe you draft to 5, but that's a choice. And then Sealed is 6 packs. And so that's how you do that. I was trying to see if there's anything else. And then who plays that format? I love Genesis format. I think Genesis is a ton of fun.
I haven't even gotten to try it yet, and it sounds
Brandon
fun.
Bremont, predict top 8 for Collinsville. I'll donate $10 for every correct guess after the event.
Big words, bud.
Okay. So Mike's prediction.
All right. First place, Featsing Almerius.
Beasting Almerius.
Yep.
Is this before or after Swiss?
This is top 8. Like the top 8.
The top 8. Okay, in order. Woof. Okay.
Okay. Second place, Featsing Mujdart.
Okay.
Third place, Violet. Fourth place, Violet. Fifth place, Featsing Almerius. Sixth place, Violet. Seventh place, Olivia. Eighth place, Violet.
Okay. I'm going to get a little less specific in terms of top 8 place order.
Okay.
I'm going to just
I just want Brandon to donate $10 for each of those slots that I get right.
Yeah. I'm
looking forward to that.
I'm thinking that I can convince him to make that statement being just makeup of top 8 instead of placement. I think we're going to see 2 Feasting Mujdart. I think we're going to see a Feasting Almerius. I think we're going to see 1 Ragnarok. I think we're going to see 3.
Brandon.
I think we're going to see players. Okay. Well, that's
How
different.
anyone's going to be there, man?
That's different.
First place is obviously Jeremy. He goes undefeated every time.
I literally never drop a game every tournament. Like I legitimately can't drop games. I'm unbeatable. Like it's not possible.
Guy knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
I do know a thing or two about a thing or two. Play what I would play, and then you'll just never lose. It's fine. My deck is called Stream. It's wonderful. 100%
unbeatable.
100% win rate. It can't be beat. Players that from who that I know is coming.
Ron Miles is going to 8th place and then dropping.
I'm not sold on Ryan topping.
Ooh, all right.
Because I know who's coming.
Oh, okay.
At least
so
some.
You got that insight.
I know some people. I'm not so unconvinced that Ryan Miles doesn't top. I think it's possible, but I also with everyone else that's coming, and this time around, I've purposely So going into the online GP, when it was the first GP of the new season or of the new meta, I purposely tried to jump into like testing conversations and like find out what people were thinking of and find out what people were building, because as a commentator it helps me to know what decks are going to start showing up so that I can make good decisions about what we need to put on the screen, what we need to try to avoid putting on stream, and what we can kind of be going to be talking about, like what cards we're going to be focusing on. At this event, the card pool hasn't changed. The players have changed. New players have come in, some players have left. The card pool itself hasn't changed, and we're now going into a researched meta as opposed to a brand new meta. So I am purposely trying to avoid too many conversations about what people are trying to test, because I want this time around to be fresh. Like, I want the commentary for this tournament to not be me going, oh yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. It makes for a boring stream. It makes for people not enjoying the commentary as much. It makes for things being very predictable and bland, to be perfectly honest. So I want to go into this event being blown away by the tech choices that people have made, and like what their testing has brought them to at this point. So that's kind of my point there. It's unfair for him to be in the matches I'd win every time. Yeah. Every single time. Can't be beat. I put on these gloves. It's over. The gloves have the power. Fresh. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously I'm going to know what certain decks are going to do, but, like, I don't want to know what people are teching. I don't want to know, like, if they've come up with anything super unique. Pain back.
Back up to that Seymour's question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Do you think the surge of other TCGs right now is affecting FAO? All these games coming out harming TCGs, just FAO care. It's a topic that I think since Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, Digimon, and all others are all peaks and valleys of hype over the last year. FAO has had an increase slowly. Mike, why don't you go first? Why don't you share? Because I have some very specific ideas about this, but feel free.
I mean, my take is always going to be the same as it was the last time we got a bunch of things that were coming out overhyping Force of Will. Force of Will does not give a shit about what other games are doing, honestly. Force of Will barely gives a shit about what its players are doing. For the most part, it's just like, as long as product sells and as long as things are good to go, like, Force of Will has outlived so many other games that were designed to come in, be hype trains, and pull it away. Those games did not last. Even if the games do last, they don't last. The hype factor doesn't last forever. Yeah. And I think we're going to see a lot of those peaks and valleys. FAO doesn't have the same peaks and valleys for the most part. We've gone like on a steady incline, and now we're just kind of like that.
That's the one thing that I'll say is, like, FAO has reached a point where we don't see dips.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the thing, is we don't see dips as much anymore, if at all. We see mini bumps. We see mini bump ups, right?
Yeah.
But the mini bump ups are consistent, and like we don't see the dip back downs, right? And that to me, I did a wonderful interview with Squeak's Game World that I recommend you check out here on YouTube. Typically a Pokemon guy. Did some work with Argent Saga. That's how I met him. We did an interview about Force of Will, and we talked about, like, the market, and we talked about the product design and the approaches and the company changeover. It was a really fun interview to do. I definitely recommend you go check it out. Just search up Squeak's Game World here on YouTube. And we talked about how Force of Will has really truly settled into this slow and steady growth rather than spike it and cash grab approach. And that, like, the approach to pre-order plus a percentage naturally assists us in that, because, like, the pre-order percentage is slowly going up. Like, I can tell you for a fact, Odyssey's order for Magic Stone, or for Assault of the Demonic World, they had more product available to them to order than they did AO3, because people started pre-ordering and people started like print runs are increasing. Like, more product is becoming available. You can still find boxes of ADW and Rebirth of Legend right now for like 110 ADW and like 45.50 for Rebirth of Legend. Like,
So
you
terrible.
can still find those boxes, as opposed to like the DBV era where within 2 weeks it was gone.
Yep.
Right. So
Because
like,
I remember those kind of like that was like the definition of like spike cash grab because the company was scrambling at that point.
Right.
Brand new management, end of a cluster. How do we end the Battle of Valhalla? And it's like, here, print Seal of Wind and Light on legs.
yeah,
And it's like, that's it.
yeah, we've
That's
done
how
it.
you do it.
We've done it. Yeah,
we've
but like
created the best game ever.
we've really shifted to shifted into being a comfortable, slow and steady growth model. And I think that what you're seeing in the TCG world, to be perfectly honest, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. What we're seeing in the TCG world right now is people are quickly attracted to the cash grab games, realize they're going to get burned, but still want something new, and are actually finding their way to FOW. Which is interesting to me because like our stability is paying off. And I think we're starting to see that dividend a little bit more in a way that I'm very happy about. So there are some games that like have me concerned in terms of like the deal with the devil approach that they seem to be making. That gets them exposure. Like I've talked about this before, and it's one of the reasons why I was so grateful to be able to do the video with Squeaks is the number one misconception about Force of Will is that our game is dead. Right? And like I get that when I post content on TikTok, I get that comment a lot, like, wow, this game's still being printed? And then that usually leads to a conversation with that person, and they're like, oh, wait, I'm actually interested in jumping back in. For instance, there's a person in the chat right now, Starlight Masquerade. You got out of the game at Twilight Wanderer. That was a long time ago. The game has come a long way since then. And I would say the biggest change from in the Twilight Wanderer era to now is that the sets are not nearly as feast or famine in terms of playable cards. And what that means is that because of that, so much of sets are now playable in a way that is the casual fun side, so that you can enjoy all of Force of Will rather than competitive or bust. I would say that's probably the biggest change between Twilight Wanderer to now. Because back in those days, sets were garbage outside of the high tier competitive. Like the difference in level between like competitive and anything else was so mind-blowingly huge that the game got centered around the competitive environment so fast. And it's just not anymore. Like the competitive element exists and is popular and is thriving, right? For within the Force of Will universe. But like there's so much more to the game outside of it now. And that's just really good for the game.
Yep,
but like
agreed.
I said, the number one thing that we experience is like we just need exposure. Because every single time I get Force of Will exposed somewhere that it normally doesn't get, I pick up like 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 8 to 10 people, like joining the global group, joining the Force of Will Ruler School Discord, asking questions, get plugged in. Like, they just need to know. That's it. Yeah. Would Force of Will last another 7 years do people finally take it and see it as the big four?
I'd say probably no, because I think that the big three is pretty much like a bubble that you can't pop your way into at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty established.
But I don't mind Force Will still being like the king of the tier 2s.
Yeah. King of the tier
That's what I wanna
2s.
King of the mediocre. Let's go.
Word of mouth OP. Not wrong.
Reading and word of mouth are both extremely OP.
Yeah,
reading the card is like the most broken ability in Force of Will. It's unbelievable.
Correct. Reading the card, please and thank you. It explains the card.
That sounds like propaganda, Jeremy. Stop spreading lies.
Sorry. Reading the card explains the card.
Classic.
So let's see.
All right. We have no questions in here right now. If anybody wants to donate $5, I'll sniff my unwashed armpit.
I feel no obligation to do that. This is not who we are.
It's not.
Listen, I get paid to put on these gloves because it was a meme, but you people keep making me do it, so I'm going to respect it. But please note that I don't call attention to you being able to do it.
You people, he says when it's clear that Matt's the only one donating.
I mean, it's Matt and Rustin, man. Matt and Rustin all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Constantly for it. Although I will say, Charlie is confirmed on stream that if we break 80 people at Caseyville, I can make him wear these gloves all day to judge.
Oh, bless up.
So,
I'm into it. Hang on. Tell me more about this.
He said I can make him wear whatever gloves I want if we break 80 players.
All right, there's 21 of you. Ask us questions.
I do have a question in here. Regalia ruler builds if you were crazy enough to take one to a GP. We were actually having a conversation with this, and it actually will be our feature match for next week. So it turns out we have a ruler that is very, very good as a Death and Taxes ruler. And has insanely good, consistent ways to be able to like set up really painful strangers for people to have to play through. And then we also got a card in this past set that says you can just pick strangers, not randomly. Mike left. In the form of Dolly. So Faria, Alice Origins Faria as a Death and Taxes ruler, with Dolly. Is nuts. Thank you, Gary. Gary is making you sniff your armpit. I don't know why.
I'll give you another one just for free.
Oh, this is so gross.
It smells terrible.
We were talking about Dolly Faria, because I don't know if you know this. We've talked about this before. We are in a main deck action format where winning the game is typically taking place in a main phase state. And there's a card that just essentially gets to tell your opponent that they don't really get a main phase, which is the wonderful mighty card of Kronos, the Stranger. And Faria can flip very quickly. And Grand Cross Reincarnation is a card, and Dolly is very, very good. And there's a lot of things that you could do with that kind of Death and Taxes approach. The only thing that holds, in my opinion, the only thing that holds Regalia rulers back right now is the threat of Welser. Right, I
love anti-tempo plays.
Right, is the idea of Welser into Regalia. The interesting thing, though, that's very, very neat, is that Faria also has access to a wonderful stranger called Blue Wizard. And see previous conversation of being able to choose non-randomly with Dolly. Pretty
good.
So it's in color. It's a package that you can certainly play. Blue-white as a stun color has always been a thing in FOW. If you can get the Regalia to stick, it's essentially like playing a Lycion. It's just, it costs you a little bit in advance. But the amount of value that you can generate off of it is pretty huge. We also have a wonderful card called Road to the Sacred Queen, which is very nice.
I love tapping my opponent's stuff down.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. So if I was to take a deck, if I was crazy enough to take a Regalia ruler to a GP, I would take Faria. I would have started testing about 3 weeks ago, and I would have done a lot more grinding to make sure this deck was prepared. But I do absolutely think that there is something there worth exploring. Because
the only other one I would say is play Arla and get really lucky with your Awakening of the Winged Lords, smacking defense stances off the top of your deck. Very simple strategy to go with. Yeah, should be fine.
High roll it. Just high roll for days, right?
Easy game, easy life.
Easy game, easy life. Or you go even higher rolling and you just play Bet It All on Black with Dark Alice because you were already throwing caution to the wind.
True.
And just like it's another. It's like, so. Here's the thing: a Regalia ruler, in my opinion, if it's going to make value, needs to be a Regalia ruler that generates its win con off of its judgment, because we don't have anything right now that interacts with judgment, especially in the early game. So like that's how you have to build it. Any Regalia ruler that's going to try to just be casting spells or getting value that way and not abusing the flip of their ruler potentially for 0 is not going to be successful right now.
Yep.
But if you can build a ruler, so like Faria is a really good choice because again, Stranger into play. Dark Alice is like the riskiest of ways because that's typically how you're going to be able to get to your 40 or your 20 Darkness Crystals and then kill them.
Although Dark Alice does get the Fairy Tale from the deck off the enter trigger, which
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like you get Shadow X.
Yeah.
You can get like if you have Shadow X already, then you can go get Casino Dealer to get Casino to like, you know, that kind of stuff. Any way that you can do that, because more Exorcist Mage isn't really heavy in the format right now. The other thing that's also very interesting about Faria is that Faria isn't stopped by Black Wizard or Black Witch, because Black Witch says you can't search your deck, which specifically refers to your main deck and not your Stranger deck. Whoops.
Rippy.
So there's a thing. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
If you want to get really high roll, you just do the Gil Lapis turn 2 OTK. That's a Regalia ruler.
Yeah, you still could do that.
You could.
Don't.
You won't, but you could.
How's your situation there, Rhea? How's your situation there? Malaysia here, still bitty bad in pandemic state, still opt to do our physical events. So we are about to do a GP later this month in Caseyville. It will be our first in-person event. My Locals is going to start opening back up for people to be able to play, not this week, but next week, which is why there will probably not be a Foul Wednesday stream this week. Paul and I are going to be able to record the feature match so that we're ready for next week. And then the following Wednesday, we'll do a feature match during the middle of the day. And then we'll probably just pop an iPhone on a tripod and like stream a table at our Locals for Foul Wednesday in the evenings so that we can also still get a feature match recorded so we can get back into that cycle. But yeah, we're getting better. Our vaccination percentages, at least in Michigan, is at about 60% of people are vaccinated.
Yeah, New York's at like 75, I think, at this point.
So like we're getting there. Good questions all around. We're having a good time.
Give more.
Since the last time I played in Wander, I was thinking about buying a box. Any suggestions?
New sets probably is your best
Saga
bet.
Cluster. You can check out the link below. Odyssey Games has boxes of, I think they're out of Magic Stone War. They have Epic of the Dragon Lord. They're out of Rebirth of Legend. You can pick up Assault into the Demonic World. You can also check out ccgprime.com. They have boxes of Rebirth of Legend, and I think Magic Stone War is still available. And then you can
Definitely get Magic Stone War. Magic Stone War is one of the most busted sets for Wanderer I've ever seen.
Very good. And then you can also check out maxlevelgaming.com, because they certainly have boxes of ADW and Rebirth of Legend, which are the newest sets that came out about a month ago.
And then aside from that, for just general Wanderer staples, you kind of just want to pick up maybe like you can't really find Legacy Lost, so that's not an option.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're looking for singles,
New Valhalla. Anything New Valhalla
is very good.
Yeah.
Again, I would recommend going to CCG Prime on that one. CCGprime.com. He has like over 100,000 singles, so like he'll probably have what you need.
Yep. Singles are cheap as hell. So if you're building for Wanderer and you need old stuff, they're cheap as hell.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Please continue asking before Jeremy falls asleep.
I'm tired. It's been a long weekend. And I don't have any caffeine in me, so Isn't Wanderer just New Frontiers? It's definitely not with the new bands. It's very much not.
It's true. New Frontiers only has 3 Seal of Wind and Light instead of 5, so check yourself, man.
Also, like again with the new ban list, the format has shifted significantly.
I like the new ban list a lot for Wanderer. Honestly, it
makes the game actually feel different. For the longest time, Force of Will has always been like Wanderer is just playing New Frontiers because it's just the best stuff. But like with the new ban list changes that we've seen come out of, especially the EU ban list, or if you're playing Conqueror, like those actually do feel different than New Frontiers, which is nice. I have enjoyed it. Shiny singles are cheap as hell. Well, that's because you like shiny things like me. The EU ban list is an unofficial ban list, and Conqueror is an unofficial fan format. So there you go.
If
But
you're
if the
using official bans from the company,
nothing.
the one on the site does not do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything except ban Sherry and Prisia.
Great.
Okay.
Kagu's unbanned in online. Kagu's unbanned. I'm pretty sure Captain Hook's unbanned in website website Wanderer.
Yeah, no, it's
so don't play that.
the company as of now, which is again as kind of expected because of this like the taking over from iSpy is kind of like a pseudo restart of things. They just haven't focused their time on Wanderer as of yet, and so like the people who are doing Conqueror and are doing the EU Wanderer ban list, with a slight caveat to the EU Wanderer ban list, really do like approach trying to make that format very engaging and very fun, and balance and like make appropriate tweaks. They are
Hi Steven, bye Steven.
They are a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on banning some cards, but they finally have done it. So like it's well worth investing in the time into. I think it's not just a hashtag, a thrown together list. Like they do a lot of thinking about it to be able to make it, so it's good.
I know they're actually
Starlight
banning
Masquerade.
cards.
See you guys when we do Foul Wednesday. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Starlight. I'm glad you tuned in. Always good to see your returning face. So what are all the new bands? Let me pull up.
Feetsing, Umer, Sigurd,
Let me pull up
Lycion, I believe, are the
current,
four.
It's on foullibrary.com. Hi, Steven. Bye, Steven. Let's see. The Wanderer ban list, April 9th, right? That was their...
No, July.
They did a July announcement? Okay.
Well, end of June, I think.
Yeah, well, now it's July, so I'm just trying to find the article. Wanderer ban list, June 20th.
That's it.
Ban list, June 20th. Thank you. They unbanned... So here's what's currently banned based on EU Wanderer ban list. Gretel, Law of Silence, Horn of Sacred Beast, Change the World, Leviathan, Wall of Wind, Interdimensional Vessel Apollo, Captain Hook, Spinning Myths, Cheshire Cat's Assistance, Umir, finally, Severing Winds, Demonic Dead, Otherworld Dreams, True Blade of Spirits, Scheherazade, Forest Meditation, Sacrificial Altar, Invitation to Purgatory, Athenia, the goddess of the green-black DBV.
Goddess of Looping. Yep.
Goddess of Looping. Kaguya, the Seal of Wind and Light on Legs. Sigurd, Lycion, and Feetsing, the new ruler from Magic Stone War Zero. That
is
and then
24 banned cards.
What was unbanned was Light Palace, Kingdom of Diversity Light Palace.
Recently. Yep.
Yes. So there you go.
So you can now dome somebody for 25,000 damage again.
Yeah. But you can't do it turn one because Umir's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Now you just have to do it turn one with no, you have to do it turn two with Alchemot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have local news. We finally have a store that's decided to give us support. Hooray! Oh,
Hey.
we finally have a format name for the Brad format, the Immortal format. No, vetoing that. It's called Study Session format. It's the format where you're playing multiplayer, everyone's playing Brad, and the winner is the first one to get to 20 knowledge counters. That should be called Study Session format. The Immortal format is a bad name.
What about
I love you guys.
Hold on.
Study Session format.
No, wait. Jeremy, it's sitting right in front of you with the description you just gave me. Cram format.
Nah.
Oh, come on.
I like Study Session format.
It doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well.
It's literally an alliteration.
It doesn't flow off the tongue very well, though.
As opposed to cram format.
Cram format.
You see how
you're cramming to get to the 20 counters.
Like the hard syllable back-to-backs that you have there? Stop it. Get out of here.
Hey, listen.
Cram school format? I can see cram school format.
I can see that. Cram sesh format?
Then we just call it study session format at that point, and
Not
we
a
have the
study
alliteration.
session. It's studying does not get you 20 counters. Cramming gets you the 20 counters.
Anyway, Matt, we're very happy to hear that you have a store who's willing to partner with you guys. You guys have done a ton of work to be able to build your locals. You are awesome. Kudos to you guys. More questions. More questions. You can see, wait, it's right there. Hey, Mike, look right there. That is a cosplay that I just finished today that I will be bringing to Caseyville.
Ooh.
A new Force of Will cosplay.
Excellent.
A new Force of Will cosplay. Vetoing a format you've created. I'm not vetoing the format. I'm vetoing the name of the format. Because you've missed a golden opportunity. That's all.
Good old venti format.
Venti format?
Yeah, because it's Italian for 20. That's the big Starbucks cup.
20. What size coffee would you like? 20.
Could I please get a big McLarge huge?
Sir, get out.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Very, very well. Accepted. Let's see. So, Mike, have you seen anyone win a match with Defender of Amadeus? I think you mean Avenger of Amadeus, and I did last week. Priscia, Seeker of Friends, into Avenger
10
of Amadeus.
counters?
I was playing well, sir.
Oh, God.
I cast it very quickly.
I'm just going to do the Fate Sing turn 1 Amadeus.
Oh, with planting bean, with Beanstalk?
No, what? Why do you need Beanstalk? You just go tap, play Melfi, get the one that recovers a stone, recover the stone, play the other one, tap 3, Amadeus. Easy game, easy life.
I don't think any of them recover a stone, do they?
Nope, the heart does. No. The limbs do. Don't worry, I know. I've tested it out. It's happened. If you play Melgus, you also play Bato and Kusanagi Motoko, give it swiftness and swing 10k on the first turn.
Stop.
Easy game, easy life.
Stop.
Easy game, easy life.
Then you get canceled and cry.
I'm not getting canceled.
You might be getting canceled.
This ain't Twitter.
Let's see.
Give us more questions, everyone.
I like questions. Questions are fun.
Give us
We have a party house. So it's a new set. What answers do we want printed? What answers do we need? What decks will fight for the top once Baja and Lycian are answered? Assumptions, obviously. I think that we need things to tell combo decks to stop. Because I think what we have right now, it doesn't happen often in Force of Will's history. Like where we have like a true top end combo deck like represented multiple times so consistently at the top, because I know what you're trying to say, like, oh well, you know, if you take the idea of the Priscia, that OTK or whatever, that feels like it's actually a control finisher of like control the game to the point where then you can suddenly push, right? The problem is that it has such good enablers that it's actually a combo deck for like early game, like hyper combo, right? It's the same with Violet. Like you look at Bahamut, you look at everything else, the enablers are what's tilting it towards like this early game combo as opposed to a mid-range to late game kind of finisher.
And the problem with that, I think the biggest issue right now with how combo decks are constructed, the combo decks are very cheap to start with. The engines are cheap.
Correct.
Back in the day, we've seen combo decks have like 3 to 4 mana, like key pieces, which is why, you know, like a 2-mana counterspell, a 3-mana counterspell were always good back in the day because it would stop them from going off. Now that the combos are cheap, the counterspells have to be cheap, but because the counterspells are cheap, the combos can use the counterspells. Yep. So now it's a vicious cycle of cheap answers to everything. So what we need is more expensive combos and less cheap cancels.
Or things that punish playing low cost stuff. Like if we have, especially like if we have things that like naturally force the curve to actually slow down, then these decks suddenly like have problems, right?
Yep.
Like it's one of the reasons why we see against the Lycion decks, we see sideboarded Academy Guard, right? Because that tells the game of like, okay, cool, you played a 1-cost card, now you don't get to play anything else, right? You've wasted your 1 card on a card that's not going to do you much, right? That's like the idea. We need to see more of that to like start to shift us, because like in my opinion, if you take the Priscilla loop and you make it a control finisher, that to me is less egregious than what it is now. Yep. Right? And I think that one of the things that we're seeing in the competitive environment, because I will say the casual environment just doesn't give a shit right now. Like the casual environment is just enjoying themselves because of the previous conversation we had about the polarizing of like, there's a lot of really good fun stuff rather than just a bunch of garbage and then competitive decks.
Competitive decks and then.
Yeah, exactly. What we're seeing is that like combo formats are very, very polarizing in terms of player enjoyment, because not a lot of people like playing against combo and not a lot of people enjoy playing combo.
Speaking of speaking of that kind of feels bad interaction, Victor Harris coming in. What about a rule that lets you pick a number and cards that casting cost can't be cast? Oh,
one. You pick 1 costs,
and right? Then you win the game.
I will say that like Carlina existing, we've talked about this before. Carlina existing and being able to run 4 copies of Battle Comes to an End and being able to cast it potentially supported on turn 1, like that actually is going to have an impact on the meta, right?
Yeah.
Because like that is going to do things. Because if you tell, like, say against a Violet deck, right? If you're the Carlina, they don't have a cancel, so you're safe, right? And you're going to go, Battle Comes to an End. And you're going to say Atomic Bahamut on turn 1, which I have a very good likelihood of being able to hit because I'm not playing Beatrice, and I'm going to rotate 4, mulligan a hand, and I have 4 copies in deck. And you say Atomic Bahamut. That's not good. Like that is a problem for Violet, right? To have that happen to you on turn 1. So like that gives me some hope to like be disruptive of these combo decks, or like just hit Priscilla. What does that deck do without Priscilla? Literally nothing. Right?
0.
So the idea of her being potentially based on what her support is, being able to consistently go turn 1, Battle Comes to an End, call Priscilla against the Lycion deck, means to me these decks, like based on how consistent that is or what support she has to protect herself, means that these decks are going to have to diversify their threats and the way they play, which will then naturally slow them down more, or like take away from their consistency, which will then shift them to being more control decks versus pop-off combo decks. And that's just with what we know right now, right? So like I think what we need to see is more things to tell these control finishers that are being enabled into combo decks to tell them that they have to be control finishers. And like I think that will be very good.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, Victor. Like they have so much good stuff to stop your low cost interaction. Like the punish is hard, right? Which is why I'm excited about Carlina, based on what her support suite potentially is, right? 8 Battle Comes to an End in a deck in 1 format. 8.
If Drake Phoenix's 1 mana battles comes to an end.
Oh,
idea.
1 mana. Well, I mean, like essentially 1 mana, right? Because you're getting it just like Stone and Carlina.
Yeah.
So like that's a thing.
I don't know. Carlina's pretty relevant too, just because like turn 1 you have access to free Seal of Wind and Lights kind of
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah, like Carlina, to me, with the format that we're walking into, based on what the support suites are, uh, with what we know so far, Belial and Carlina are the two rulers that I'm most looking at to shake up what's being played in the meta. Because Belial makes Violet's pop off literally worthless. Because Belial can say on his own, in an uninteractable way that Violet literally can't stop. When they go Atomic Turbulence to lock me out of spells, I go, cool, God Art. I'm not going to take any damage. Any Baja you play this turn isn't going to do anything. And flipping Violet and dumping your whole hand to be able to maybe make up for it also wasn't going to do anything this turn. Right? So, like,
Yep.
combo decks against Belial, like, if you gas out, Belial just says, that was cute, you didn't do anything. Right? And like having the low life total, I get it, but like these rulers are going to literally start the game with 2 turns of you can't hurt them. If they're playing Belial, they get to literally have 2 turns of you can't hurt them.
I also think that like a very relevant, like again, I'm going on this Carlina train because having access to 2 mana on turn 1 for no cost at all, is
crazy.
insane.
Potentially 4, right?
Yep. Oh yeah,
with 6
and then
stone.
yeah, exactly. Like your opponent's turn 1, you don't have to untap. You just tap the Dante you have to the side. That means that Carlina is literally just casting out a play the game kind of thing, and then your opponent starts playing Violet, and you're like, all right, cool. I'm just going to turn your stuff off, and Carlina's just going to continue sneak rolling you for the rest of this game. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, right. Like, and to me, that feels like an answer that's not also another threat. Does that make sense? Like,
yep.
There's probably going to be some good stuff that you can do with her, but like for Carlina can't be a combo ruler. Literally not possible, right? Because she says once per turn, like 1 spell per turn. Like she's not going to be a combo ruler. She's going to be a mid-range control end game ruler, right?
I'm just going to leave her mana up all the time and then lob silence people. Heard you want to play the game,
right?
Like, you can't.
There's a lot of things there.
Also, very important thing that Carlina enables as well: dive cards being cast from the hand are just not casting a card.
Yeah, dive is not casting a card. That is true.
So you can just T1 or burrow somebody with her.
Yeah,
which is terrifying to me, but also kind of hilarious.
Yeah, but again, it's not good. I think Ouroboros himself has been solved. Like, even if Violet and like the current Priscia deck existed, like, I don't think Ouroboros would be a deck. Like that deck has been solved. It has its one time. It's done. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. But like I said, the things that I want to see, what answers do we want printed? Assuming that there are no bans, the things that I want are to shift these combo finishers to where they belong, which is control finishers or mid-range finishers. Like I want them I want cards to tell those decks, you have to play this out, rather than just being able to get so greedy and have it work for them so often, right?
Yep.
So I don't want greed to be so unpunishable. Like that's the thing that I want out of this next set, is that I want greed to be punishable. But I think
that's one of the sins.
Which I think Belial and Carlina are in the right spot for that. Because again, like, we have things that can wipe boards very cheaply. So if you pop off and go all in against a Belial and they say, well, that was cute, and then they wipe you, okay. You know, like,
GG.
So like there's nothing you can do there. Like I think it's based on what their support suites are, it makes me feel like decks are going to have to turn down the greed, because it feels like this next set is going to be full of punishes. And I think if this next set is full of punishes, then I'll be very satisfied. Because right now the punishes just aren't there. And so greed combo decks are popping off. That's what happens. Wouldn't banning fast mana accomplish this? Borma's hilarious. Val is slow. Oh, Borma. Wipe the board. Wouldn't banning fast mana accomplish this? I know we aren't getting any bans, but that's the solution. Fast mana being things like Lycion?
Probably like yeah.
Because that's the card that I've advocated to be banned.
Yeah. The problem with banning fast mana is that every deck has fast mana. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Every relevant deck has.
Will efficiency is like at an all-time high in FOW.
Yep.
So like you have to like that's the biggest thing. So need a good remove from the game board wipe too. Everything is destroyed right now except Rag.
I can agree with that.
There's the spell from Prologue to Autoraktia that RFGs all of them. In terms of mass, yeah, we don't have a mass RFGs currently. Yeah, Melfi Lycion. Yeah, Lycion. Is like I get that. The fast mana, right, for sure. But again, if we have punishes, if we have better punishes, then like that naturally should hinder how greedy people are getting with fast mana, right? Because I think that's the problem right now is we have good fast mana and way too few punishes for trying to greed that fast mana. Like if we have fast mana and the punishes are efficient enough, then fast mana naturally shifted backwards. Because then it's like, well, what did you do with it, right? It's one of the reasons why people look at... This will be kind of the last question of the night. It's one of the reasons why people are currently looking at Ragnarok for the Lycion matchup. Because, like, Soul Hunt reprint... Stop. It's one of the reasons
Soul Hunt already got reprinted.
Yeah, it's in. Ragnarok right now, as an anti-Lycion deck, is one of the reasons why people are looking at it. Because it punishes... It starts the game with 3 really punishes that just gets to naturally sit on, and it can use during the turn that ruler wants to be doing what it wants to do, right? So like the Prisya Melfia deck, if they try to pop off during the end phase of Ragnarok's turn, Ragnarok can go, that's cute, RFG it all. If they try to pop off during their turn to avoid the Ragnarok hit, then it goes to Ragnarok's turn because their stuff doesn't have swiftness, and Ragnarok goes, that was cute, pop it all off. Because you didn't get a chance to attack. Or if they go like triple Lycion, you're like, that's cute, get rid of them all. Right? So, like, zero mana, not necessarily zero mana punishes, but like will efficient punishes. Like, I would say that Belial's not necessarily a punish, but he's a deterrent. Because he naturally tells you, like, sure, you can combo off, but it's not actually going to get you anything. The more stuff we have that makes the combo player question whether or not it's worth it to combo off is good, in my opinion. Because the combo decks in all of Force of Will's history... Combo decks, in terms of their actual win cons, are glass cannons. If you can stop it, it's over. They usually don't have good follow-up. It just doesn't happen, right? Now, the thing that we're experiencing right now with the Prisya deck is that it's a control deck that's just able to get super greedy and, like, push its combo in faster. That being said, though... It really doesn't have any threat outside of Prisya to Prisya to Prisya to Prisya. Like, if you look at that deck, it literally has nothing in terms of, like, actual closing the game that's not doing that loop. So, again, if you have something that makes that deck question whether or not it's time to go off or can make it crumble after it's gone off, you know, then you've done your job.
Yep.
So... there's because of what we're seeing from these decks, there, in my mind, if they approach this next deck correctly, there is certainly a way to address these decks. Like, I can think of answers that we are being hinted at being possible in this next set. It's a matter of whether or not they execute on it. and whether they design cards in the way that I think would be best for the health of the competitive meta. So hope that answers your question, Sea Shocker. Thank you for the question. It was a wonderful way to end the conversation. That is going to be it for us for tonight. Wonderful questions to everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Really just had a good time with it. Again, this week we'll probably not have a Foul Wednesday because we'll be recording a feature match. So look forward to that. And then we'll be back next week with more conversation. Maybe we even get to talk about some actual spoilers other than my trolling basic Magic Stone reveal. But that's it for us. So until next time, this has been myself, Demo73. If you like what we did tonight, consider clicking that join button down below. If not, we're just glad that you were here regardless anyway. And I've been joined as always by Mike Rance. So until next time, class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.